Hello, this is Dimitri with Ukidz LLC, UGears US. Today we're going to be doing the assembly of one of the newer models, well, always a new model that I'm assembling, cash register. So this one should be a fairly quick assembly. Now we got about 405 parts, so we'll see how long it's going to take us, but it does another model from UGears to keep your money. So safe and sound. Unfortunately, it's not waterproof, not fireproof, not break-proof, but it is an exciting model. As you can see, my packaging was a little bit damaged in shipping, which is okay. Usually the models are okay because they're hard plywood. We have some boards here. We got some rubber bands. Of course, wax is included in there. You got a little sandpaper and instructions manual on the back along with the boards, or on the back of the boards. So I'm just gonna take this plastic off and just to keep your boards in a nice condition, and I'm gonna put them on the side. All right, so let's go quickly through the manual. As always, there is do not burn the candle. This is actually candle. There is a wick in the center of it, unless they change the manufacturing, but just a simple candle wax. And then we go through some syllables. When you see this, you do need to wax the part. Exclamation points, you need to pay attention, obviously. Cutting, break off. Rather than breaking out the part, recommended is to cut it out, or if you need to slice the part, I use the X-Acto knife. And then if you see this symbol, obviously it's a symmetrical. There is a list of spare parts that are on the boards, so if they break or shear off or something, you can use those. And obviously if you do need a replacement, you can contact us at info@ugears.us. And if you have purchased the model from us, we'll ship it at no charge. If the model was purchased elsewhere, we can either request on your behalf the part from the manufacturer, which is also going to be free, but it will take some time, or we can ship it to you for a small shipping fee at $3.50. Well, all that information is available on my website, ugears.us. And let's continue with the assembly. So the first, on page number 3, on board number 1, top right corner, you have part H, which is a helping tool to push the smaller parts out. So we're gonna start with that, get that out, and start with the assembly. Alrighty, so here's some exclamation points and showing how to push the parts out, just as an example using the tool. All right, so step number 1, we need part number 1, which is a board 1, and obviously the boards are shown in the top left corner. And then we need part number 2, which is on the left side of the board. And parts number 3, there is a small cluster of those right here, and that's where I'm going to use the tool. So we need to push 3 of those out, just to get them. Might require a little bit of a pressure, and put the spare ones on the side. So we need to put parts number 3 go into the 2. Usually I try to follow the way that it's shown on the picture. Sometimes it's slightly different for the assembly, and you might not be able to fit the part exactly, but most of the time it's exactly the way it's shown. So just for the ease of the assembly or ease of explanation, we're gonna do how it's shown on the picture. So you do part number 2, and that goes from the side when the tab is away from you, so it's gonna go right into the 3 holes closer to the bottom of part number 1. So I'm just gonna leverage your against the table to push that in completely to make sure it's nice and part number 3 are not visible. And turn that piece around for step number 2, where we need to insert part number 4 and 2 more of number 3s, which are used as the connectors. And part number 4 is also on board number 1 in the top right corner. Just a little point, when you push the parts out, my recommendation personal is to push from the front to the back. Obviously the front where the number is in correct orientation, and the back it's backwards. So from front to back, when it's a part is by itself. If the part is internal to another part, I recommend it to push it from the other direction, because you'll pull the fibers in the direction of the pull. So when you pull it from here, they're gonna stay on the board. If you pull it from the other side, they may actually pull from the part itself. So it's not gonna look good and also compromise the integrity of the part. So let's see, step number 2, insert the parts number 3 into 4. And then we put the 4 onto part number 1. With a little offset, switching over to page number 5, step number 3, that would be also board number 1. We need part number 5 in the top right corner, and in the same corner you'll find part number 6. So that one's easier to pull out. And let's see, so this is symmetrical, so it doesn't matter, and that goes right into the first hole in the little cluster here, first one on the bottom. Let's see, just like this. So you have that part moving up and down. As there's going to be a little bit of a movement, I put a little bit of a wax on the surface of part number 1 just to give it, and on the other surface of part number 5, just so it'll be a smoother rotation there. All right, and the next step is step number 4, part number 7, which is on board number 1 on the right hand side, right in the middle there. And that one obviously with the larger tab, inserting in the hole right in the middle of that part number 1 from the same side as we just did our assembly of parts number 5 and 6. Just like this, and we're done. This is our sub-assembly A1. Moving on to the page number 6. Now this is going to be our locking mechanism sub-assembly. Here's an example of different codes that you can use. 111, 123, 234. You can use 431, etc. So the way that you determine the codes will go in a little bit later. So part number 8 and 9, that's step number 1. So the first 8, and part number 9 is the long rod. 9 goes into the 8 with the little hook facing towards the back with the tab. And then we need part number 10 and 11. They're all on board number 1. We got part number 10 and part number 11. So 10 goes on first. All the way to the back. And part number 11. Make sure the orientation is the way it's shown on the instructions. And then we need part number 12, which is right here, right at the center of the board. And we do need to wax that part, so just apply a little bit of a wax and put it over. all the way to the end. Next one is part number 13, a little bit to the left of this center line. There is a directionality arrow, and we use that. So the hole is towards the top, which wouldn't matter much right now, but the hole is towards the top, and the directionality should go clockwise direction. And then you kind of slide it onto the part number 12, because there's got a little locks on there. And let's see, line it up. And then part number 14, and that's when we determine the code that you want to use. So part number 14 has a little holes or slots there. So there's a 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that's your numbers, right? I mean, that's how you can distinguish what code you're using. So obviously if you want 111, you do, all these are facing in the direction that is shown. So you need to face it towards the your top left, kind of like a little diagonal, right in this area. So let's see, I'll be a little bit different. I don't want to do the instructions, and I'll do 4, 3, 1 as an example. So we do 4 in that direction. Once again, see, it's facing top left. Then we do number 11 and 10 again. Number 11 and 10, both of them on board number 1. First, 10 second, and then part number 12. Don't forget to wax it. And then part number 13 over it in step 5. Just hold towards the top, kind of like wiggle it a little bit onto the part number 12. And then our part number 14, what did I say? 4, 3, 1. So I'm gonna do the 3 hole next. And then 11, 10, and 12. 11's got a little tab. 10. Wax on number 12. Moving on to the page number 9, or 7, sorry. Step number 7, page number 7. Parts number 13 and 14. Once again, same thing. Air clockwise, wiggle the part onto the 12, and then we got 1, right? So like 1 slot facing the same direction, and then we'll lock it with the 11, 10, and number 8. Once again, everything needs to face the same direction as did in the beginning. And 8. And make sure the other side doesn't fall out. And all that sub-assembly goes on to part number 15. So 15 is also on the same board number 1 on the bottom left. Now we make sure that tab is facing you, and then we insert that sub-assembly right in the center holes right here that are perpendicular to you, or perpendicular to the axis. And 1 tab at a time. Just align it. get it all the way in. Make sure there's nothing sticks out, just like that. Turn it around, and step number 10, part number 16. 16 is also on the left hand side of board number 1. That little tab facing towards you, I mean towards the right side, and then that gets inserted onto these 2 tabs right here through the rectangular holes. Make sure it fits. And then part number 17 in step number 11, also on the same board, bottom right, would go right over part number 16 with the tab towards the top, locking it in all the way in, making sure we're still recording. Moving on to the page number 8, and we need a little rubber band. I think it's the tiniest of all of them, 12 millimeter, which is gonna be this guy right here. That's a 12 millimeter, and we put it on that little tab here and 2 tabs at the top, joining them together. And we're done with the A2. So put that on the side for a second. Step number 1 on page 8, right in the middle there, we need part number 18, which is now we're moving to board number 2. 18 is the top left right here, the long big piece. And then we need parts number 19 and 20. So 19 and 20 top right, 20 is the one on the right, and then 19s are right at the center there. Now 20 has a little hook right here, so that one goes in the center. We need to make sure we put it the right way, so you got that little 2 tabs facing to the left, 1 tab facing to the right, and your number 20 is gonna go right in the center here, right below that tab. That's where the 20 goes in, and then 19, the second from the right, and then the other 19, third from the left. Make sure you inserted the correct direction. And as we completed that, part A2 with the rubber band facing to the left, that long tab to the right, we insert on these 2 holes right on the tabs, just like this. Now it's all set. In step number 3, we bring our part A1 subassembly, turn it around so the tab is facing away from you, and we insert that large portion, that large tab, into the slot. Move it towards left, moving on to the next page, 9, and then there's like a hole, that first hole, and the tab in part number 1. So we put it right onto that tab. Try to wiggle it around, make sure you don't break that sub-assembly. And then this part also, it gets pretty much inserted into the slots here. Squeeze these together and you got your assembly. Next step is part number, let's double check, what are we, so that's just went through that. You need to put it onto that tab, that's 1. And then step 2 is this part, sub-assembly. So now we need part number 21, which is also on actually on board number 1 on the right hand side on the bottom there, and that gets inserted right into this hole right here. It's going to be a little behind that sub-assembly, so just put it in there, as far as it can go. And that's going to be our A3. Completed page number 9. Moving on to the page number 10. I'm going to put that aside. Now we need part number 22 on board number 2. Bottom right here, right in the center, that large piece. And then parts number 23. Those are going to be still on board number 1. Right in the bottom right hand corner there. So we need all 4 of them. Pull them out, and they go into the following holes. So we'll make sure these little cutout facing to the right, and we're gonna go, so we need to put one into the hole right here. So there's a circle, and there's 3 holes around it, or more than 3, but the 3rd hole to go around. Then the next one's gonna be right here at the center, right at the almost at the center line. Next one right here below that circle. Not sure how to explain it, but you guys can see where I'm inserting it. And then the 4th one right at the bottom here. 4 locations. Make sure they're fit all the way in. Moving on to the step number 2. Need part number 26, 24, 25, 26, and 27. It looks like they're all on board number 1. So we start with the 24, and that's going to be right here, a little bit to the right of the center line. Part number 25 in the top right corner, and part number 26 is right here at the bottom. So that's what we're starting off with. We do need to, oh, and I need 27, so they're at the top right. So I need 1 of those right now. There's one spare just in case. So 25 is the larger one. There is a little connection point. So I use my, you can use the sandpaper, but I use my little precision file. And same thing on the 27, just to take out those connection points and make sure that's almost perfectly round. I will wax both parts, and we also of course need to wax the gear number 26. So you want to wax these little gears here, reducing the friction. All right, so part number 24, I'm gonna go 25 right into the 26, and 27 is going to be on the end, just like this. And step number 3, we inserted from the same direction where we just inserted numbers 23, the hole that is second on the bottom, with a long piece sticking out on the other side. Moving to page number 11, and then turning that sub-assembly around, we need 1 more number 26 and 1 more number 27. That's a second or third 27 that's a spare, so I can put it aside just for the future. And same as before, I'm gonna sand it a little, put wax around it, and wax onto the gear number 26. Push the gear in and lock it with number 27. Squeeze them tight, and it should rotate nice and easy around its axis. Probably would be a good idea to wax the surfaces there, but it looks like it's working fine, so we're good to go. I don't need to disassemble it. Now it's step number 5. We need 3 parts number 28. They're on the center and to the right on the board, on the bottom of the board number 1, and then part number 29 is also on the right hand side, closer to the bottom there. These three parts, they're gonna go around this hole right here. So it's kind of like a little, I guess, peace sign. Insert numbers 28 and then number 29 right over them. Just lining up the tabs and squeezing it right on the tabs, not to break that port number 29. And that's our B1. So we completed step number 5 on page number 11. Moving on to page number 12. I'm gonna put that aside for now. All right, so our page number 12, step number 1, we need part number 30 on board number 3. Right at the center here. Part number, we can take one board out. And so there's going to be 31 through 30 through 40. All right, then I'm going to push these out. They're easy identifiable as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0. So you can take them out completely without being afraid that you're gonna use the wrong part number. And now, as we did, need to look at part number 30. There's that little tab inside here, and there's a little dash right here, 1 dash, and there's a 2 dash here. So 1 will go self-explanatory, hopefully. So number 1 is gonna go into the hole with the dash, with 1 dash, and part number, the part number 32, which is number 2, gonna go with the 2 dashes. And then you continue along the circle. You got 3, 4, 5, 6. Pay attention, 6 is marked with a dot. 7, 8, 9's marked with a dot also, and then 0. And make sure you insert the 0 the proper way, because those tabs are a little bit offset, so you get the correct tab in there. So now you're done with that step number 1. Now step number 2, we put it aside. We need part number 43, 42, and 41. So here's our 42. 43 is going to be on board number 2, top left right here. These two are 43 with a little dot, a little hole there. That's the identification. So we got our 42, 43, and then now we need 41s. There's a bunch of 41s right in the center to the right above the middle line, so we need 3 of those. Use my helping tool to get these out. Now, exclamation point, so we need to pay attention. 1 dash, 2 dashes. Well, let's push 41s through these holes from the back. So make sure the tabs are not vertical but horizontal, not normal to the center. Turn it back around, so once again we see the dashes. Part number 43 is gonna go with that little tab that needs to go right in between these or close to these 2 little dashes, and we just put over it. And then we do need to wax. Should have waxed it before, but not a big deal. I'm gonna wax it while it's on part number 42. we need to wax part number 42 also according to instructions in step number 3. So just all around, and then with that little tab, dashes should go also into 1 and 2 for the numbers. And then slowly squeeze all around until you lock it completely. So your drum number 1 is complete. Step number 4, you need part number 44, which is on the bottom left there of board number 2. Carefully pull that part out, it's more fragile. Same thing, wax all around all the gears. Now wax, most of the time, 99% of the time, it is included in a box. Occasionally it's not there. In case if it's not, my personal selection would be tea light candles, purchased at IKEA, and there's like 100 of them for like $2. They work very well. Now here there's like a little teeth inside. Those teeth should face counterclockwise, and that's the way we put it over our sub-assembly. And as you rotate it, you're gonna hear a little clicking sound, and then you can't rotate it the other way. That's our B2. Put it on the left or on the right, put it aside. Step number 1 on page number 12 on the bottom here, part number 46, which is on board number 2. Right here at the top, there are 2 of them. We need to wax in between here. Board number 45, back to number 3, and parts number 41, back to 2. Use your helping tool to get the 41s out. We need 3 of those again. Now with the dashes facing you, we insert the 41s right in the middle. From the side you're facing the dashes, so it goes on the inner circle. And then 46 gonna go from the back with that little slot matching the slot on the gear, and then the hole facing the hole here. So lock it up, and then we're numbers again, 31 through 40. All right, then the same thing, 1 with 1 dash, 2 with 2, and then continue 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0. Next step, moving on to page number 13, part number 42, 43 on board number 2, and then 41s, 3 of them again. We go from the back once again. Wax the 43 while it's still not attached. Wax 42. And let's see, dashes with a little tab right in between there. Another indication is these two little holes matching. And we're done. And that goes on that little drum. Once again, 1 and 2 matching the little dashes. Just like that. And then part number 44, bottom left of board number 2. Same thing, little wax, exclamation point to make sure the teeth are correct direction, counterclockwise, and kind of slide it on just like that. That's our B3. Put it aside. Step number 1 on the bottom. Start with part number 46. We're back on board number 2. And I might as well pull 3 of the 41s out. Two extras just in case. Little plus sign next to them. I will not need them. 45 from board number 3, bottom. And then we wax that little tab there. 41s from the front. And then 46 from the back, hole and the little slot are matching, lining up. Squeeze them together. Numbers again. On board number 3. And same thing, 1 with 1 dash, 2 with 2, and so on. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0. Get these inserted. Step number 3, part number 47 on the bottom here, bottom right of port number 3, parts number 48. And those are on the same board on the right hand side here. So with the little tabs, these little tabs, kind of like offset, so they need to be closer to the inside of that part number 47. So once again, let's look for the dashes facing you, and then 48 is inserted from that side with the little tab closer to the center of that little cylinder, circle, whatever you want to call it. Got these in. Page number 14. Next step is part number 49 on board number 2. That was two numbers to 43s and 49, so make sure you use the correct parts. Little wax all around. And that part goes, make sure your dashes matching the little tab. It's gonna go offset on these parts number 48, right onto that drum. And then same thing, dashes matches 1 and 2. squeeze that drum all around. And that's our B4. Next step, we need part number 50. Step number 1 on page number 14 on the top right hand corner. Part number 50 is on board number 2. It's a long piece right here. There's some dashes on here. And then we need 51, 52, and 51. And those guys are 2 51s. And 1 52. We will send 52 a little bit. And connection points on 51s. Just for the smoother operation, and we do need to wax it a little bit. All around. All right. And then now we need to pay attention on here. So 50, these little 2 dots or slashes facing away from you. There's a little step and short piece closer to you, and that's the side you're inserting the 51s and 52s from. Now that little step on here facing counterclockwise direction, and you push it all the way in as far as it can go, almost to the center there. 52 and then 51 once again with the same little step or tooth facing counterclockwise direction. Step number 2 points out that these little dashes on the part number 50 and 51, they should kind of like match. That will indicate that you went as far as you can go. There might be like a little step, a connection point. You might want to wax it a little bit if you can't push it all the way in. Now we start with the B4, which is the one with the offset, and then let's see. And I guess as far as it can go onto the not past, well, it can't really go past, but as far as it can go, right? And then you lock it with number 53 and 54. So 53 is right above the long 50, and 54 is to the left right here of that big opening. Both of those need to be sanded a little bit. And waxed. So 53 is gonna go in first, and then 54 lock it on the outside. All right, as far as I can go. Page number 15, turn it around from the other side. Let's see. Only rotates one way and locks the other direction. Part number 51. They're right here. Just one for now. Send the connection points. And wax it. And then the same thing with the tooth matching the teeth on the other one. In my case, if the drum is on the left, that's going to be away from you. You insert it as far as it can go. And matching the lines on the piece number 50. Next one is going to be B3. That's the one with the little slot here, the tab facing away from you. And you put it as far as it can go. Onto the assembly, so it has to be like right next to the other drum. Now part number 51 again, 52, and then 55. They're on the bottom here. Little sanding. Once again, just to remove the connection points. For the easier, smoother ride, reducing the friction, applying the wax. All right, so 51 first. That's one little slot on here. Once again, same direction for the, actually 52's first. Perfect, nice and round. There is no tabs on there, so it goes all the way in. Then 51 with that connection towards the top. And that slot, once again, matching because not on the other side. And then part number 55, same thing with these little two dots, slots, matching the slots on the part itself. So nice continuous line. And then we insert B2 with the numbers, digits facing the same direction all the way in. And we lock all that sub-assembly with 256, which are right here on the right hand side, and 157, which is gonna be on the bottom right. We're gonna sand and wax all around. Just removing the connection points. That one doesn't really have to on 57 because it's on the inside there. It's not perfectly round, but 56s are. And we lock that assembly 256, 157. Page number 16. Take rubber bands. That's the 30mm diameter. One. And we lock this from rotation. There's the two slots on there, and we're going to go through these slots. Locking it, kind of locking it in place and putting it aside right now. Our next step, well, not really on the side. Next step, we're gonna take B1 with this little opening here. That's where the B5 that we just assembled is gonna go right into. And page number 17. On the other side, we lock it with part number 58. Which is on board number 2, a little bit to the right of the center line right here. Make sure your airs are showing direction of on the clockwise. And let's see, we do need to put a little bit of a wax on the gears. And put it on that locking, that mechanism in there. And we're done with B6. Put it aside. Step number 1 on page number 17 to the right. Our parts number 59 through 63. So some of them are coupled. So 59, top left corner of board number 2. By the way, we're done with board number 1. There's a couple spare parts on there, but we can put it aside now so it's not on the way anymore. All right, part number 59, 60 is gonna be on the right side. So that's a little star. 61 on the left. 62. And 1 on the right, 1 on the left, then 63, also 1 on each side. Put it aside. Now we need to wax the 63s. You don't need to remove the connection points because they're inside of the little grooves. And then we need to wax 61 with the teeth. And 60 with the teeth. Put it all on 59. In the sequence that is shown on the page. And then 264s, also on board number 2. Right at the center here. These are just like that, with the little longer pieces facing towards you when the gear, like the full function gear 61, is on the left hand side. So that's our B7 and B8, and we need to make 2 of those. So 1 more sub-assembly. So part number 59 on the top right corner, 62s, 60, 61, 63s, and 264s. 63 needs a little waxing. So the gears. All right, 51. Squeeze them together, and then 64s. All right, done with page number 17. Moving on to the page number 18, and we need number 65, which is on board number 2. The B7, which doesn't matter at the end of the day which one is which, goes into the first slot. So you kind of insert it from the bottom and then squeeze it in and push it in from the back. And then the second one, we're doing the same thing, kind of like bring it in diagonally from the bottom, move it towards. It's gonna kind of snap into the holes, and then you just press on the parts number 64 to get them in. So again, make sure they're sitting completely in on both sides. And we're done with that. Moving on to step number 2. With these gears are facing away from you, that gets inserted into these 2 holes, that whole sub-assembly. Just like this. Here we go. So they're gonna sit, this gear's gonna sit like right at the drums. Right? Did I insert it from the right way? And we're gonna double check that. They need to fit right into the drums. Well, there's slots, holes. Guess we're correct. All right, so there's when the teeth on the gear and that like a 4-star gear line up, they need to fit into those slots on the drums when you're lining up. So pretty much if you have it like 111000, they will fit right in. Now we need 2 more of the 30mm. So the teeth need to interact so it's parallel to the drums, which is what we're looking for here. We need 2 more rubber bands, and these rubber bands gonna go around the drums to keep them together. So to make sure that these gears are sitting into their slots rather than falling out. So you want to put rubber bands on there just to keep them in place. All right, so that's what we're looking for. Just keep it together. So I put 2 rubber bands, one on the first drum, one on the second drum, just to keep those gears inside there. Next step, we're on page number 20. We're done with this part. Now, step number 1 on the right-hand side. I'm gonna clean up the desk a little bit here. Double check we're still rocking and rolling. So step number 1 is part number 66. Let's see, board number 2 we're done with. Board number 3, part number 66 is on the right hand side here. Parts number 3, there's 2 of them. Or we need 2, 1 spare. And then part number 67 on the top right hand side. That's our step 1. So these 2 holes, that's where the part number 3 is gonna go into. And then the circular part matching the holes. These two holes matching these two. Right, and all the way in. I'm gonna use my helping tool, make sure that parts number 3 are sitting there completely. Everything is nice and squeezed. And then parts number 68 for step number 2. Let's see, they're on board number 4. Right at the center here. So this piece, that's what I was referring to in the beginning. So this is internal cut. So you want to push it from the back, so the fibers stay on this piece rather than on your part. And then these components you can push from the front towards the back. Obviously we don't need this anymore, and that's going to be with the holes facing towards you. Insert it right into that sub-assembly. As far as it can go. And that's our A4. Now that A4 gets inserted into A3, that's the one without the drum, right into this slot right here, just like that. And then we need part number 69 on board number 3. This is a long piece here. Careful taking it out because it is fragile. And then make sure the design is on the outside. Insert it into the 3 holes that are on the side here. That's our A. Step number page number 22. We're gonna move to our other sub-assembly, and we need part number 70, which is on board number 4 on the bottom left. We don't need to wax it or anything. That goes over drums, and make sure your teeth are counterclockwise. So that's gonna go over the drums, locking it and then we need to put that part A, the one that we just did with this, together with part B. So drum, make sure you match all the holes carefully. And now it's just wiggling around to get all these parts squeezed together. And let's double check, make sure it's all squeezed. Yeah, we all squeezed. Meaning that we can lock the sub-assembly together, so we don't have to keep it open anymore. So just match the holes and make sure everything just fits right in. And as you're matching them, make sure everything is sitting in place where it's supposed to sit. Now you go back on. One of the parts fell out. Oh, here we go. Make sure all the holes are matching. Here we go. And everything sits where it's supposed to sit. Just double check all your connection points. Make sure it's all the way in. And there you go. Step number 3. We cut all 3 rubber bands off because it's all now in place and we no longer need it. And I guess my X-Acto knife is a little dull. Okay, not good. So I just got that, or take him off. Need a new X-Acto, and we can toss these rubber bands to the side because we don't need them anymore. Next, we need part number 6 and 71 on board number 4. 71 is on the bottom there, and part number 6 right at the center. Little wax on the outside here, and that circular portion. And then 6 gonna go through here, and that's gonna go right on the inside here, just like this. So it's gonna be wobbling right here. 6 is inside. Moving on to the page number 24. Put that sub-assembly aside for a split second. Step number 5, we need parts number 74, 73 on board number 3. 73. 74's got 2 dots, gonna go on the bottom. And then 72's on board number 4. They're right here. And we need 3 of them. And they go through 3 holes that are there. On 73 and 74. So I'm gonna do 73 first. .74 second. Just easier to push these through single unit than 3. And then 75, which is on board number 4 on the bottom right here. Another mention, there's some blemishes on here. This is natural from wood. They do not interfere with the design. The design will still look great regardless of those. It'll look beautiful. Now this the holes on the right hand side, we just insert our sub-assembly into the corresponding holes again. And I did these incorrectly. So there's a directionality. I was trying to figure out what I did wrong. So the smaller hole on the left when they're facing you, the larger hole on the right. Now that should work. I was wondering, why is it not coming in? All right. There we go. Perfectly locks onto the part number 75 now. The design is on the other side, and then we insert that in step 7. We go on the right hand side, slot right here and slot right here. So we do the one that's on the larger side first, or the bigger side. This is a pen holder and note holder, and then open it up a little bit to get it fit into the other hole and squeeze it in. Real good. It's step number 7. Moving on to the page number 25, and that's what I just did. Squeeze those in, just as shows on the picture here, C1. We put it aside. And now we're on page 25, step number 1 on the right hand side, past the center. I need parts number 76, 77, and 63. They're all on board number 3. So 76, 77 is right here in the center. Center line to the right, above the middle, and 63 is going to be top right corner. So first we take 76, we insert 77 right before these little tabs. So these little tabs should be on the right hand side. Correct? Or not? All right, so there's a little, okay. Now, there's one with a thicker tab, one with a thinner tab. So the thinner tab goes the one on the 76, and then we insert the 63 on one end. Now we need a little rubber band, which is a 12mm one. It's the smallest one. Part number 78, which is right here, and we do a little tap let's see, so step number 2, not really clear, but it looks like we are putting it on a little tab right here on part number 76. We're grabbing it with a 78, and we're twisting it a little bit to get a like twisted rubber band. So there's a little pressure on it, I guess. Moving on to the page number 26, and we insert that with the little tabs right into that slot. So there you see the rubber band here pulling on that part. And then we do another part number 76, which is going to go on the right. And that one same direction, right into that slot before. We can let it go a little bit. And another port number 78 and 63. All right, so 63, we're gonna put it on first. And we do the same thing on this side. Grab a little rubber band, 12mm, slide it onto the little tab here on the part number 76. hold it with your finger, grab part number 78 with the little slot, wrap it on a rubber band, and then rotate it and put it onto the sub-assembly, kind of like same thing as on the other side. And that's step number 10. And then step number 11, we need the coins on 79 on board number 3. Wax a little bit these ends on 76. And then we insert the coins right into these two little tabs with coins facing you, and it's gonna go into these from the right as coins facing you. One small hole, second small hole, and third small hole. That's where the 76s are going into. And that's going to be our C2. Step number 27. These two parts are going to go from the back onto C1 into this tab right here. And they're going to get inserted into the center ones, these two. So these parts will have to go against the drum, like the right on the outside of it. So like right underneath, if you can see. So that it's gonna go against the surface of the drum, not the gears. But you need to push them onto the inside there into the assembly. Bring the coins up, insert it all the way in. Make sure your parts are seated properly. And all the way in. There we go. And then last step, this thing goes right onto that tab. The coins part. Make sure everything is seated properly. And then we're moving on to so that's step 1. We're done with this. And step page number 28. We just need to put two parts number 80. Those are on board number 4. And then with the tabs, these gonna go from the other side. So we need to move it onto the inside and insert it into the same holes from the inside. I'm not sure how to properly explain it, so we need to move it in. Oop. The inside portion first. And that stuff. So we need to go on inside. Let's see. Let's see, matching this hole. There you go. So we need to insert it into this hole first and then kind of push it on the inside. Let's get your fingers in there without breaking any parts and components, and slide it into the tab right here in the hole opening. The same thing from here. We'll do the same thing. Front portion first, and then push it in. There we go. And that should go almost fit into the hole right away, and then push it all the way in. Whew. We're done with the step number 1, 2, 3, and 4. So once again, insert it here first. That's the way I did it, and then push it in and get it right into the in between here and to the slots, 2 outside slots. And we're done. This is our C3 on page number 28. Okay, page 29, step 1. We have parts number 81 on board number 4. There's that large piece right here. And then we got part number 6 and 82. So 82 is on board number 3, right at the center. And there's a spare right next to it, part number 6, or there's one on the top. So either one should be okay to use. Also, there's part number 6 on board number 4 right next to the 81, so there's plenty of them all around. As you can see, board number 3 is done. We can also put it on its side. And let's see, board number 6. So this 82 goes with the little tab to the right and facing away from you, with the square hole being on the left for part number 81. And part number 6, we're just inserting through that round hole right in the bottom here. Round hole of part 82, and obviously a rectangular hole of 81. Now we need 2 rubber bands, the thick ones that are in there, the thickest that you have. They're 5mm wide, 60mm round diameter. So and then we put it on the sides right here. So we start with the part in the middle. That's a step 3, 2 little slots, well, either way, I mean either side. So we start in the middle. We'll when you hold the rubber band, if you stretch it a little bit and push it through, it'll actually go in very easy. And then we'll do it on the second hole, same thing, stretch it and push it through, and then just tie it up to make sure that this is nice and flat on here. Then we go into this slot right here, same thing, you hold it, stretch it, and kind of squeeze it through that hole. 2 fingers, stretch it out and push it in. There we go. Stretch it up a little bit, then make sure that end kind of goes around and through the slot. And then we do the same thing on the other side. You need to push that through. As you can see, I'm stretching it. Actually, probably easier to hold it with 2 fingers on the front, 2 fingers on the back, and kind of push it through that slot. Just like this. And then we do the same thing on the other side. So I'm gonna go through it again. Once again, we go same side. We're doing 1 slot here, so 2 fingers on each side. Stretch it and push it through the hole. Same thing into the second hole. So make sure like on the bottom you have only a small strip rather the full rubber band. So you just tie it up, pull on it to get it tight. Same thing into this hole, pull it to get it tight, wrap it around, go on the other side, and we'll do the same thing. Here we go, and wrap it around. When it's done, so you have like 3 little spots on each side. Those are going to be your feet to make sure that the head cash register doesn't slide. And sitting right there. All right, so we're done with page number 29 actually, and then we insert the cash register right into it. So cash register, this facing away from you, the register itself facing towards you, and you insert it into the 2, let's see, does it show anything? Yep. So you insert it into these slots here, these 3 slots go with these tabs, and then to make sure this piece, the opening is right through that rectangular opening for the tab. So, and we just push it in, line it up, and slowly get all the tabs where they belong. So you might need to stick your fingers inside there, get these longer tabs fit into the holes. And I'm just gonna do it on the table because it's more comfortable, easier to do. Right, so I'm doing the 3 center ones. And then the 2 sides. And make sure all the sides are nice and fit on both ends, so it's nice and flat on both ends. All right, so moving on to the page number 30, we need a small 12mm rubber band, which is the smallest one that you have on here. And that's gonna go these 2 little, so one is visible, both of them are visible, so there's a slot here at the center, that little rib, center rib, and then a little slot on this moving part here. So we need to get it onto the rib first, and then the other side, get it on that little, kind of squeeze your fingers in there, or try to squeeze your fingers and get it onto the little tab, I think it's part 82. You can help yourself from the inside. And I'm gonna try to see if I can use the helping tool just to push it. Here we go. All right, so just use the helping tool to get that rubber band onto the little hook. And so now when you press on this little part, it should just jump back. Next step is number 9. We need parts number 83 and 6. So 83 and 6, both of those are on board number 4. Once again, as I mentioned before, we have plenty of 6s all around. There's more coming on other boards, so there's some extras too. And that goes into this little tiny hole right here. So 83 with the tab sticking out, we go through the smallest round hole. Let's see. If there's another 83, hold on. Double checking. Yeah, there's a second 83, so 2 of them. One goes through the left side, just like this. and then one goes on the right side. So 83 on board number 4 at the top, and then another 6, and that goes on the same similar location. Actually, no, the one on the same level. There's another hole. There's a longer hole there, rectangular, and there's a square one a little bit below, so you want to put it into that one. So just on the right side, just like this. And we're done with page number 30. Moving on to the page number 31. Step 1 are parts number 84 and 85 on board number 4. And they're both on the right hand side there at the top. And then you connect them together, one into another, like 2 forks. Push them as far, let's see, as they can go. So this goes into these holes. Yeah, so there's like a little slots and tabs. So they should stick together and kind of like, you won't be able to separate it. Now we need parts number 86, 87, and 86 again. I would sand the surface just slightly. Maybe 1 run, 2 runs max, one side, and then the other side. All the way on, like on the ribs, all the way down. So that actually will make these parts go on easier. Now we need parts number 86, 87, and 86. They're all right here on the top of board number 4. So 86, 2 of them, and 187. Let's see, do we need... Doesn't look like we need anything, any wiping. So the thicker part, that's where the side that you put those on. And then you push it as far as it can go. If it doesn't go very well, just push it back. Either sand it a little bit, add a little bit of wax, and that should do the trick. And you push it all the way as far as it can go. So as you can see, the sanding and waxing did a little bit of a trick, and it just goes in easier. There's like a little connection points. Those are the ones that are preventing it from going much easier. Next part is 88 and 89. So 88 right here, and then 89s are on the bottom of board number 4. So we need to wax both of those. You might want to sand it too, but it's up to you. I'm actually omitting the sanding right now, but it's also a possibility. Now pay attention here, exclamation mark. So there's like a little tooth that should face towards you, or if you look at the part, should be counterclockwise. So you put that on the end, it doesn't go any further, and then you lock it with part number 89. All right, so now we turn it around, and then 286 and 87, same. And I'll also wax the ribs. As far as it can go. And then we put 90, 91, and 90 on the other end. Those are on board number 5. So 98, 2 90s are on the bottom there. And 91 would be a little bit like halfway between the middle and the bottom on the right hand side. So let's do 90, 91, and 90 again. Once again, as far as it can go. And then 88, which is back on board number 4 at the top there. let's see, does it say to wax it? We'll wax it a little bit as we did wax the other 88. So I'll put a little bit wax on there, and the same thing, let's see, facing the same direction and on the same side as the one we already installed. So just look at this one and match the little tooth. So in my case, it's facing away from me, and that's as far as it goes. Moving on to the page number 32. Now we need to install 3 rubber bands. They're little thick ones that are 18 millimeter. 1, 2, 3. I have 1 extra left for now. And then these go over these little wheels. So I'm gonna install them right at the center. 1, 2, make sure they're not twisted and sitting nice and flat on the inner parts there, the flat parts. And we're done with step number 7 on page number 32. Moving on to the step number 8, and here we insert it into the main assembly. So the hole here, you push that long rod through there first. Actually, let's move that part number 83 up. And then same here on the other side, we'll move that part up, split these open a little bit, and then insert that rod into the second hole on the opposite end, just like this. Now, that's the step number 9, part number 33, to insert that part. And let's see, did we miss a step? No, it doesn't look like we missed anything. So now we insert part number 92 and 89 at the end of this rod. So 92 is right at the top of board number 4, and 89 is that one below there, bottom of board number 4, and we'll wax part number 89. So 92's got a little 2 slots on there, so that's the one we're inserting here, and it should just stay on the end. So there is a directionality because there's a cross with the longer and shorter ends. So with the longer ends facing up and down, right? Or you can rotate it so it does. I mean, so directionality matters, and that's the point. So if it doesn't fit one way, you should see like a little tab sticking out there. Just rotate it 90 degrees and it should fit the other way. And then put the part number 89 right at the end there, so it'll kind of lock it in within the assembly. All right, moving on to the page number 34. Step number 10, we need part number 93, which is on board number 5, left side here. And then 95 right above to the right a little bit, 295s, 294s. 94s are right here, almost at the center line, a little bit to the right on the bottom. So 94s are going on inside. They have 1 slot, and then there's 2 slots or 2 marks on the 95. And that goes to the first step here. There we go. 94 on the other side. 95 and 96, or 95. 96 is next step. 296s and 227s. Those are on board number 4. So 27s are right here. And 96 is at the top right corner. So we don't need to wax the 96. We'll just put them at the ends. but we do need to wax, so I'm gonna sand a little bit on the 27. Actually, you don't really need to, because it doesn't look like it's a cylinder. So there's some, the connection points are inside the grooves, so it should be okay without sanding it. So just make sure you wax it for easier operation. And then they put 27s on the ends. So this system's gonna go into these little parts number 82. I guess 83, sorry. So these two moving parts. So one end into one, and then the second end into the other one. You need to split it a little bit to fit it in, and that's it. It's sitting right there. Moving on to page number 35, and that's actually what I just did. Step number 13. Now we put part number 97 over these tabs on 83s. So part number 97 is on board number 5 at the top right. It's got a little bills drawn on there, I guess with a $10 denomination or 10 euros, whichever currency you're using. So, and then these gonna go on the little tabs of part number 83. Make sure that's the face down, or airs are facing down. And then you just need to kind of support the part number 83 from the other end. Try to stick your fingers in there. It's kind of not too easy, but doable. And make sure the 6 didn't come out. So just press it in as far as it can go. So it should be like, these tabs should be flat with the surface. We're done with page number 35. Moving on to the page number 36. Step number 14, we need parts number 27, 26, 98, and 27. So they are on board number 4. 2 27s at the bottom here. Both need to be waxed. 126, actually we need to assemble it 2 times, so I'll take out all 4 27s that we need. 2 26s and 2 98s, and 98s on the right hand side right here. All right, so it looks like we used everything on this board number 4. We're gonna put it aside. Now wax the 27th. All around. And now we put it on 98. So 98 is going to go through the center of the gear. Then we lock it on with the 27 on both ends. And that gear will also need to be waxed. So you do it on both. And then we wax the gear. All around. Wax is a little flaky. I'm gonna keep it here, so just in case if I run out, I can use up the bits and pieces. All right, and step number 16, we need part number 99. That's on board number 5, the top left hand side here. Part number 100 right next to it. And then parts number 6 there to the right. On the right hand side, 2 of them. All right, so Let's see, we line up that lock with the hole right here. And then we insert, so there's a rectangular hole on part number 99, 2 of them. So one should line up with that slot, and one's gonna line up with the round hole. And we just insert part number 6 in there. And then step number 17, we're gonna take our assembly, put these two gears into the holes that you have on the side, on the left hand side of the register. And then this part's gonna go, let's see, over these two gears that we just installed, and then over these two gears and this little weird looking tab, right? No, 3 gears. So 1, 2, 3. Oh, okay, so that goes, the slot goes in there. There's an opening, 2 openings for these, or 3 openings for these tabs. So that's gonna go 4. Sorry, 4 tabs, and just put them, squeeze them together. The gears go in here in the slots, just like this. Alrighty, and we're done on that side. Making sure everything is in place, everything is sitting flat. All right, moving on to the page number 37. Now we need a little rubber band, which is a 12 millimeter. That's the smallest one again. And that one's gonna go, it's gonna go into this slot right here. And down onto this little opening or slot in that part number 99 that we just installed. And that's going to be our D part. We're done with page number 37. Moving on to the page number 38. Step number 1 are parts 101 and 102. They're top right corner of board number 5. Slide them together. And then parts number 105, 103, 104, and 105. So they're all on the same board. So let's see. They're going to be closer to, 103 is in the middle. 104 is right below it. And 105 let's see where 105s are at. 105s are right here, at the middle to the right of the center line. Pull one of those out, and let's see, they're round, so I'm gonna send them slightly. And put a little bit of a wax. On both. And these are gonna go on the shorter side out here of this little rod. And they should go all the way to the this larger tab. Oh, 103 first, sorry. Made a mistake, so this little tab on the bottom, that one goes on first, then 104, then 105. So now they perfectly fit. Now part number 106 and 107. They're on the same board, so 106 at the top center line right here, and then 107 is going to be bottom right. So 106 goes in first. As far as it can go. Then 107. Push it next to 106. Then 108 and 109. 108 is right next to 106. And then 109 is going to be on the bottom right, to kind of like diagonally to the left of 107. So that's 108 and 109. The next step is 110 and 104. So 110 is right here at the center, and 104 is right next to it. All the way to the end as far as you can push it. Then 104 and 105 again. So 104 bottom right, and then 105 in the middle here to the right of the center line. Once again, both of those are waxed and a little bit sanding. And that's our E1 once we put these on. One of 4, and then 105 is the smaller one. All the way in. All right, moving on to the page number 39. We're going to put that aside. Need parts number 111. They're board number 5 and 112 right next to it. That's to the left top. Then part number 113 for the next step is right here. I'm going to do 111 with the tab facing towards you to the right. 112 with the hole away from you with this rectangular hole towards the top, tabs on the bottom. I'm going to put it through the end hole here as far as it can go, and then lock it onto the tabs. Then 113 is going to go over it with the thicker parts to the right and go into these two rectangular holes to lock it in. And then we need part number 114 at the top right of board number 5 here. And that one we just need, big part fill out. Gonna put it on the side. Here we just wax a little bit that little and here. And that's gonna go into these two tabs, kind of like upside down, the hook facing up, just like this, as you can see. That's E2. Next step is number 10. We need parts number 115, 116, and 41. So 116 is right here, top right. 115 is going to be on board number 6 on the bottom here. And then 41s, two 41s are right here. So let's see. So this one, 115, we're holding with the hole away from you. The larger piece towards the top. 116 should be, the flat portion should be facing down. So if you look at that slot right here, there's kind of like a circular and then flat. So that flat facing down. And then we insert the 41s through these two parts. Actually, I'm going to insert it through the 116 first, and then through 115. The next step is put the E1 subassembly through here with the longer part through that hole as far as it can go. And then step number 12, you use the E2 subassembly through here into these little two tabs. So with part number 111 fitting into the two openings here, locking it up. So, and this should rotate right through these two slots, just like this. Well, we're done with page number 39. Moving on to the page number 40. Use part number 117 on board number 5 on the right hand side right here. And that part's gonna go to turn it upside down. Slots matching the other slots. Gonna go right over these tabs, 4 tabs on the side panels. Push it in as far as it can go. And step number 14, we need part number 3 through this little slot right here. And part number 3 is also on board number 5. There's a little set of them right here, so we just need one. And we insert it right into here. I have it sticking out a little bit. As we need that to connect. So just make sure it's flat on the inside, sticking out a little bit on the side, although it's not showing on here. I think that would be a little bit easier to install it. Now that's gonna go step number 1 on page 40. With this flat portion facing towards the top, that's gonna go into the hole right here. That part number 3 is gonna go in that little tiny hole. And then at the same time, we need to make sure that this little hook lines up with that round piece right there. So it does, and then I move up that little opening. Hold on. Hopefully you can see it. So the little arm, we need to put part number 3 through it. Just like this, and now it's all in place. As you can see, this lines up, or they're matching. That little part number 3 went through the hole on that arm that was heading on the side there, and then it slid in the hole, and now everything sits nice and perfect. Just make sure it doesn't fall off when you continue working. So that was the last step that I was doing on page number 41. That's little part number 3 that you needed to push in, but I left it not pushed through, so I didn't have to push anything. I just wiggled it a little bit to get it on, and that completes step number 2. Moving on to the step number 3, we need parts number 121, 119, and 120. So 120, 118 right at the center here. 119 are 2 long pieces on the right hand side in the middle, and then 121 is also in the middle here, right at the center line. Now 120 goes on the bottom. There's a longer and a shorter side, so the longer side facing to the left. 118, same thing, longer side to the left, and then 119 with double. Actually, they're not into each other. So 119 is gonna go into the longer, 120 is gonna go into the longer piece, longer tab, and the shorter tab's gonna go 118. And once again, make sure they are in the same direction, same length on both sides to fit it in properly. Once again, the longer on the left hand side, and then 121, you're gonna go these 2 little rectangular holes, or square holes, look like square, but most likely they're rectangles if you really measure them. They're gonna go into the tabs of parts number 19 there to lock that coin slot in with the arrows facing down. Page number 42, that gets onto the register, and there's like a little tab on here, and that's where we're gonna insert that. Make sure you hold this piece so it doesn't fall off, and then the bottom plate that has a tab gets inserted into also the side hole right there. Now it's locking that system into the place, and that's our F. Moving on to the page number 43. Step number 1, we need that big piece that fell out earlier from board number 5, piece number 122, and then 2 parts 123 and 124. So 123 is over here bottom right, and 24 and the bottom left. So that bottom left with the longer sticking out tab here, extension facing to the right, 124 is going to go into this bottom slot that's all the way on the right. So that's our 124, and then 123 is going to go into the slot right above it with the 2 little marks here and 2 other marks. And with the marks actually, let's see, not matching these 2 marks and the part 123 away. Just like this, and you push it through, all the way through, matching the marks on the part number 123 with the part 122. Next step is part number 125. So 2 3s. I'm going to take these out right away. Put them aside, and then 125 is right here in the middle. So 2 3 is going to go, so 125 with that round piece facing to the left. You can put 3s. I'll put 3s into the 122 first. And then 125 second, so that little round piece should cover the whole. Just make sure it sits nice and flat. And then 126 is going to go from the opposite side, which is also on board number 5, to the right in the middle here. We're done with board number 5, so we can put it aside. And that part number 126 is going to go into that second hole, like the hole that is right in the middle. Putting it like this. Step number 4, we need part number 127. That would be on board number 6, bottom right, no, bottom left. Part number 26 is a little bit to the right and above it. Part number 27. Let's see. I have one spare on the other one. There's a bunch of 27s here on that board number 6. So we take any one of those out. We need 2. I'm gonna take that whole part out. So we have 127, 126, and then 128. That's a little piece right at the center here on the bottom. So we need to wax the big gear. Small gear. .27s. And that's it. Now, with parts 126 on the right hand side, we put 127 through this hole right here. Actually, let's do 126 onto it first, as far as I can go. Lock it with 127. Push it through that first hole that is closest to you, and then 128 on the other side. locking it with the 27. So the gear's kind of wiggling in here. And then we need part number 129, which is in the top left here. That's a step number 5. With part number 129, we lock that gear inside. So let's see, this hole with the little slots, that's the one that's gonna lock it. And the other hole is gonna stick out. Let's see, just like this. Wiggle the gear a little bit. Make sure it fits in right into the slot to hold that little sub-assembly there. All right, then push it in as far as it can go. Step number 6, we need 130, which is on the bottom right. 131, a little bit above. 2 of them there, just in the center. Number 89 right here. And one more, 27. So shorter end, that's where the gear 131 goes onto. We need to wax it, and I'm out of wax. So as I mentioned before, a great solution are the teacup candle in the tin cups. It's fairly soft, so you can dip the gears in there. It's kind of like one of my favorite candles to use. But then we also kind of roll 127 in there and 89. So on the shorter end, 131 goes on the shorter end, locking it with 127. And then 89 goes on the other end as far as it can go. That sub-assembly, where the small gear is at, that goes into the hole, not the first hole right next to it, but one above it. Right there, and then 32, and I would wax a little bit of that surface right here, right around where the gear is going to be spinning. And then part number 132, bottom right of board number 6. That's going to go right above it to lock the gear in. Little tab so it doesn't fall out. So it's right over the gear. Done with page number 43, moving on to page number 44. Here we got step number 8. 27, 2 of them. Board number 6, part number 128, right here on the bottom, a little bit to the right of the center line, and then 131 right above it. 133 is on the bottom right. And we wax the gears. Both of them. And to parts number 27. So 133, 131 is on the right, 128 is on the left, and then 27 is locking it. And that's gonna go in that little middle hole in between these two gears, with the larger one matching with the smaller, just like this. Put it aside. Part number 134 and 135 on step 10. 134 is that piece top right corner, and 135 would be bottom right. With the slot facing up, we get that inserted right on the right hand side of that 134 part. So like little hook, you hook it up and then you insert it into the hole, kind of squeeze it in, and you're done. Put it aside. Step number 11. Two parts number 27. Part number which we'll need to wax. Well, let's do it right away. Part number 136. That's bottom right here. Part number 137 and 138. 137 right next to it, and 138 all the way on the bottom. So 138 is perfect round. 137 is kind of like a hex. So that one's gonna go on the shorter side of 136. Lock it with 127, and then the 138 is gonna go on the other end. Locking it with 127. Now that's gonna go through that bottom hole of sub-assembly that we did in step number 10, just like this, and then we put 139, 140, and 139 at the end. So there's 139s right here to the right, a little below the middle, and 140 is the smaller one of those. So 139 first, as far as it can go, 140, and 139 again. Locking it all together. Step number 13, we're making sure that these gears are interacting, the small and the larger one. And then with the 139, 140 combination facing up, we're putting that little sub-assembly here, a little bit under the angle. So these two holes gonna cover these gear. Larger one's gonna go through this one, and then we're getting it through all the tabs. A little connection on the tabs. Make sure all the holes, all the gears are fitting correctly. Into the holes. And squeeze it together. Locking everything in place. So this spins freely. These gears, you want to try them out, make sure they all rotating and there is no interference. I have some, but it's just a little burr, so that's why you need to wax the gears and sand them possibly. But we do have that mechanism moving, so we're good to go. This one's spinning too. So we're done with step number 13. As you can see, I can move this freely. And the next step is 14 on page number 44. We need parts number 27. Part number 142, which should be on board number 6 on the bottom left here. And part number 141 is bottom right. So 127 waxed. 141 with a shorter end, that's where 142 is going to go onto. Make sure the teeth are facing, or the openings are facing counterclockwise direction. That's what the exclamation point is about. Push it as far as it can go, and 127 lock it on the end. Moving on to the page number 45. Part number 143, bottom left. 131, it's right in the middle here on the right hand side there. And then another 27. So one more 27. Plenty of those to go around. Now we wax the gears, obviously. 143, I would send it a little bit and give it a wax as shown all around. and then 27, of course. Now, that sub-assembly, 143 goes on first, as far as it can go, to the end. Then 131, and then 127 at the ends, just like this. Put it aside. Part number 144 right in the middle, a little below middle at the center. 145 is going to be top left, and 146 way top left, all the way in the corner. 146 is round, so I'm gonna send it slightly and put a little bit of wax. And then 145 is gonna go into this little tab that is gonna be facing away from you towards the bottom from the right hand side. And then 146 is gonna go on the end of it right here. Step number 17, we take our sub-assembly that we just did, and that gear with the locking mechanism facing away, it's going to go into the slot right here, interacting with the gears here, as you can see. And once again, exclamation point at step 18, make sure these are facing, if you look at it, they facing clockwise direction on this installation. Next part is we need 147, which is on board number 6, which has teeth on there, and you need to make sure that it's also waxed on the outside. And once you do that, make sure the teeth are facing, let's see what direction, they're going to be facing counterclockwise direction, to be able to lock it onto that little locking mechanism. And then we put this little sub-assembly over it with the part number 27, or no, 146 going through this slot right here at the top, just like this. So it fits right perfectly in here over the gear sub-assembly and that slot 146 sitting right here. So once we're done with that, we go from the other direction. We put part number 148, which is right in the middle, right at the center, a little below the middle, and 149 to lock it, which is top left corner on board number 6. So that's gonna go with the tabs. Now let's see. So this gear is gonna go through the hole. That part's gonna lock onto this round piece right here. So we kind of need to move it like this, and then lock it with 149, which we gonna wax. And that's gonna go on to part number 145, just like this. And next is step number 20. We need parts number 150, center, middle to the left of the center, and 151 to the right of the center line, a little below the middle. So 150 is gonna lock it at the top here, two tabs. To make sure it doesn't move any direction, and then 151. Gonna lock it, there's two tabs here and one here, so it's kind of like a letter A, letter L. That's gonna be locking it at the bottom. Make sure it sits all the way on. And we're done with page number 45. Moving on to the page number 46, step number 21. Now we're looking on the tab facing you on the right hand side, part number 152 and 153, still on board number 6. 152, it's got a hole on there. 153 is going to be at the top here. So let's see, the hole facing down. I guess it wouldn't matter at this point of time. That goes on the little long extension here, as far as it can go. And then 153 goes on top of it with the hole matching that little slot, and it should face bottom right, I guess, just like this. If you're looking at it, it should face to the right. Once we do that, we need one of the longer, thinner one, the 60 millimeter. Question that I always have: how do you tie it? Very easy. Just put it on one finger, wrap it around, push it, like wrap it around your finger. Here you go. Push it towards inside, and then that loop that you created goes through inside here. Then you grab onto the little tiny extension that you got, and then you make a nut. And then as you pull that knot, it gets smaller, and then pull it as hard as you can without breaking it. And you got a little nut on there. So we need to get that extension out. That's your rubber band. So it's just approximation, so you don't need too much. And with this little loop, let's see, we need to push it through. That loop should be inside. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take that out. I'm gonna pull the rubber band onto this slot and kind of get that little knot inside the hole and put it back on, just like this. And then we put another 152 on top of it with the holes matching. Just like this. Now you got the rubber band sticking out, and that rubber band's gonna go around this little pulley here, and then over this part onto the little slot that is on the part, just like this. So you got a little tension in the rubber band. We're done with the step number 2 on page number 46, or all the steps on page number 46. Moving on to the page number 47, and now we need parts number 154. They're on board number 6 at the middle center here, right at the center. So with 3 of them, and then those gonna go onto these drum. Make sure you're kind of centered. Start it up. Put it right into the slots. And then use your tool to kind of fit it in completely so it's nice and flat with the outside surface. On all 3 locations, just like this. So it's nice and tight. Rubber band's not gonna go anywhere anymore. And we're done. That's our part number G. So that G is gonna go, we're gonna take our register, and with this pulley towards the outside, this little long piece towards you, it's gonna go on the right side of the register. So you put the little 3 tabs on the bottom first. Make sure these little rods are matching into the corresponding holes, and then push it down, and then kind of like down and towards the register to get it locked in onto the tabs that are sticking here. Let's see this side. There's some on the bottom here. Make sure it's flat on the bottom, Everything fits in, everything's here. Very good. This slot, this little drum or goes into the slot right here. This holes match up, and this little portion we need to make sure that we and also put it into the tab or tab into the slot, just like this. So everything is now locked in place. So here this piece goes correctly, everything, the slot tab right here, little piece right here, there's two tabs here that fit in, and then obviously make sure it's all fits into the base piece. That's all covered in page number 48. And now page number 49, part number 155 and 27. So step 3, those are 27 we still have here on the site, and then 155 would be on board number 7. Below the middle toward the right of the center line. Wax it, the gears, wax part number 27. And that goes onto that bottom little tab, and you need to make sure that that gear 155 interlocks with the gear that is sticking out there. Push it all the way down, and then 127 to lock it up. And that's our H. Next step is number 1 on the right hand side here. Parts number 157, 158, they're all on board number 7. So 157, 2 157s, 158, 2 156s, and 156 is on the bottom right of the board. Now here we have a little bit of an offset on that little smaller circle. So that offset should go, it's very hard to see it. Actually, maybe no offset. There's offset on 158. So that 157 should go on the bottom, then 158 on the top with that round off portion away from you. And then 157 on the top. I'm just checking everything's matching. So the directionality on 157 doesn't matter, which is all good. So we'll start with 156 through these two center holes on 157. Just make sure a little wax would help, because for me it was going in a little bit too hard, but if you put a wax on 156 you should be all good. Now once again, remember, smaller circle to the left, that little round off piece away from you on part number 158, just like this, and then lock it up with 157 on the bottom, just like that. Step number 2 is part number 159 and 160. 159 on the bottom here to the right of the center line, and 160 is on the to the left a little bit of the center at the top, closer to the top. Interlock these two pieces as far as they can go. Moving on to the page 50. Now we need 161 and 162. 161s are in the bottom right, and 162 right at the center at the top of board number 7. We're gonna do 161 from both sides. locking the sub-assembly together, and then 162 is going to go from that round off portion, and then that goes into this little sub-assembly with the key teeth facing towards you. That's going to go into the smaller holes from the right hand side, just like this. Creates your handle. Now step number 5, H, we need to make sure that the teeth are facing up by rotating this. So that little there's a little tooth right here also facing up. Right, so as far as it can go, you need to rotate it away from you. And then we need part number 163, which is on board number 6, actually no, probably 6, at the top right here. That one goes on first onto this handle, I guess the little tab or extension, and then the handle is going to go there, but we need to wax the gears, obviously. It's a little excessive wax. And then the handle facing up, I'm going to go onto the same tab as far as it can go, just like this. Once again, these facing up, away, so you rotate it away from you clockwise if you're looking at it, and then handle goes up, and pretty much making sure that these gears are not interacting at this point of time when you're inserting. Next step is part number 164, step 6 on page number 51. 164 would be found on board number 8, right? Yes, right at the center here. And that's going to go into, there's 2 tabs right next to each other, a little bit diagonal. It's going to go in the tab that is closer to the center of the assembly. And then 165, which is also on board number 8, that's going to go the hole that is away from the center line with the key facing away and up, so it's visible from the outside. It's going to go into the second hole right there. Then we need 3 parts number 166. They're all on board number 7 on the right hand side there along the edge. Kind of wiggle them out if you can take them out easily. And we need 3 of them for now. And those gonna go into the hole right here, right next to the handle. Hole right below this little pulley behind it. Once again, make sure they're inserted completely. And then the third one's gonna go on the bottom here, little hole. Next step, page number 52. We need another 166. Board number 7, bottom right, or on the right hand side. And that one's gonna go right in the hole on the front of the register, just like this. Next, step number 10, we need parts number 169, 168, and 167 on board number 6. 169, 168, looks like a lock. And 167, they all 3 together. 169 on the bottom, 168, and then 167 goes through both of them. And that gets inserted onto 170. And 170, that's on the board number 6, top right corner. It fell out, has, let's see, UGears here with the little extension going towards the left side. So there's 2 holes on here, and that's where the lug goes into. And insert it in. Next step is part number 171, also on board number 6, bottom to the left, a little below the middle on here. Then we need another part number 6, which is right here, also on the same board. Either or, one is spare. We're done with board number 6 for now, so we can put it aside. So this piece 181 round off piece goes right behind the luck, and then the 6 goes in here. So I'll pull the luck out a little bit. Actually makes it easier. Put 171 through this hole right here. That would be much easier than squeezing it in. Then put the luck back on. Rotate a little bit that part, and then 161, I'm gonna lock it from the back. Not from the front. Page number 53. So that cover goes over the right hand side of the register and to the tabs. $166. And now we need to slowly go one by one, make sure all the tabs are fitting in the corresponding holes. If they're not, just adjust them a little bit. Go all around, make sure it fits nice and tight at all the locations where the tabs are at. And we're good to go. Next step is 14, part number 172, bottom left of board number 7. And that one goes with this little cutouts towards the top. Right at the bottom here, on the right hand side of the register. So wiggle the sides a little bit, and then carefully rotate this piece, pushing it past this little $sign to make sure you don't break it off, and insert it into the slots, the diagonal slots from the top. So it creates nice smooth surface here. And the next step are go from the left side right here. We need parts number 173, where all of them are on board 8, and there's 4 of them. We need 3 for now. And step 15. And they go into a hole right here. I guess you can't see it. So I have the register, the front face facing away from me. First hole at the top from the front, from that end, and then one on the bottom here closest to me, and one there's right by the rubber band. There's another slot here, so that's the third one. Page number 54. Another 173, and that one's gonna go into the front bottom. and then 174, which is on board number 7. That piece gonna cover this side. Match the holes, and one by one get it on. So this left side is done also. Next part, step number 18, part number 175. That's on the right hand side of board number 7. And that goes over, so there's like a slaughter here that goes on the left hand side of the register. Squeeze it into the cover, kind of pulling the cover away a little bit, and put the tab into the slot. And then into the other cover on the other side, on the right hand side. Making sure it's all nice and tight, squeezed in. And we're done with page number 54, page number 55, which just did that. Step number 19, done. Step number 20, we need part number 176. And that's on board number 8. 176 is right here, top right, halfway between the middle and the top on the right hand side of the center line. So there's a thick tab and a thin tab. So the thick one's gonna go into that cover on the left hand side that is closest to the front, so the small one sticking out. Page number 56, we need part number 177, which is top right of board number 8. And that goes into the hole right here in the middle from inside. Just like this. So 2 of them sticking out right here on the outside, and we cover it with part number 178. We put 178 on top of it. 178 would be on board number 7, bottom center. That's cash register, and that goes over these little handles that we just put in. Press it from the back. Obviously cash register facing the correct direction, not upside down or anything. And insert it over, so it says cash register right here. And that's our part I. Moving on to the page number 57, we need part number 179 and 180. 179 is on board number 8, top left corner. And 180 is right next to it to the right. So with the tab towards the back, 180 goes from the back there, just like this. 181 goes on the right hand side. 181 is going to be on board number 7. There's 2 of them. One fell out earlier. So with the, make sure you're putting it the correct way. Match to the corresponding tabs. And fit it all in. And the other side, not yet. Now part number 182, board number 8 on the top there. Nice and easy around. Let's see, coins facing this direction, so this is the bottom. You need to make sure that it's facing towards the outside, and insert it into the hole, slowly bending it a little bit. Just like this. And then 181 on the other side. So I would start with the bent portion first. squeeze all the rest of it. So this is our coin holder, and that's our part J. Put it aside. Next one is 183, bottom left of board number 8. 184, which is to the right on the right hand side. And that goes, let's see, into the slot right here. So that we need to turn it upside down so the slot is away from me, and that goes from that side all the way in. From the same side, we got two parts number 185. And these 185s, they're gonna be locked with part number 6. So part number 6 is on board number 8, right in the middle. Obviously wax the gears nice and thick. On both gears, and then put them on these two little tabs or holes, locking it with number 6. Just like that. Make sure they're freely spinning. Page number 58. Part number 186, right at the center, a little below the middle of board number 8. Part number 187, to the right of it, 2 of them. And then these hooks, obviously there's only one direction you can insert them because of the location of these tabs. And then part number 6 again. That's gonna go right in the same sub-assembly through that rectangular long hole. So make sure that we have the movement like this. And then we're gonna lock it with part number 6 through that little slot there. And make sure that it goes back and forth. Then we need part number 188 and 189. 188 is to the left of the center line, a little bit above the middle. And then 189 is right above it to lock it up. So the thick cylinder there is gonna go into the hole of part number 186. And then there's 2 holes right here. That's where 189 is gonna go into to lock it up, or to keep it in place, I should say. Then the next step, we already have part number 6 fell out. We need part number 190, a little above the middle to the right of the center line. And then with that rectangular cutout facing closer towards you, obviously there's only one way you can put it. And then part number 6 to lock it up into the little hole on the left hand side, just like this. So you got this system going on here. Next step is another small rubber band. Only the thick one, but it still should work. It's gonna go onto these little tabs and over 189 into the opening. Just like this. So it gives a nice little stretch. or the other one we can do, because I ran out of the 12 millimeter, so there's a, let's see, 15 millimeter, no, 30, so I needed half of it, so I'm just gonna do a little loop, make a knot, and cut it off. There's always a solution. Once again, if parts are missing, incomplete, send us email. If you purchase it from us, we'll replace it at no charge. You purchased it elsewhere, there's going to be a small shipping charge, but we can still replace it for you. But as I mentioned, with this you can improvise, and that's what I'm doing here. Because we need a thinner rubber band, that thick one's not going to work. All right, so that's solved. K1 is complete. Next step is step number 1 on the right hand side bottom, 58. We need part number 192, bottom right. Two number 3s. We have some here and some leftovers. From other boards. And part number 191. Which is right here to the right of the center line. So with this little tabs facing to the left, 182 is gonna go over it, and let's see, tab like this into the furthermost holes. Actually, we'll do the other ways. So first we're gonna insert the 3s into there, and then put 192 over it. Oh, we do need a little bit of a wax. For the easier movement. And then we put it over part number 3. Squeeze it and make sure it's part number 3 is completely. I'm using my helping tool, so it's nice and smooth surface. So it sits completely beyond, like below the surface. Moving on to the page number 59. We turn it upside down. We need part number 193 and part number 6. 193. Don't forget to wax the gears teeth, and that's gonna go through this hole right here. With the teeth facing to the right. That's K2. Now K3, we need part number 194 on the left hand side of board number 8. And then 193. And another 6, which we had fallen out. So I don't need to cut another one out or take another one out. And here with the little circular tabs facing to the left, the tab facing towards you. Now where your teeth gonna face to the left too. Bottommost hole. I put number 6 in. That's gonna be our K3. And then we need part K1 that we just assembled, turn it upside down with the tabs facing you. We insert K3 that we just assembled into here, so these two gears will match, the 185 and this one. Then we insert part number 195, which is right to the left of the center in the middle here of board number 8. So that goes into the hole of part number 193 with the round of pieces going facing down, just like this. And then we put part number 196, actually no, part number K2 on the other side, on the left, making sure that the gears interact the same way. .195 matches with 193. Rotate the gears a little bit just to make sure that you don't break them. And squeeze everything together. Making sure that there is operation. That all the gears are operating. So if as I'm lifting this, you see that's moving back. So now it works nice and easy. Part number 196. And that one's gonna get, there's 2 openings here, tab, that's gonna go at the front with the longer portion facing towards the left, towards this. Because it's offset a little bit, well, you're gonna be able to put it only one way. Double check this works fine. And that's our K. Page 59 complete. Moving on to the page number 60. So that gets inserted into the register on the bottom there. Tight, but it goes in all the way in. So everything is nice and tight. And then the next one is J on it from the back into the we didn't need to push it all the way in, I guess. Let me pull it out without breaking it. Because there's like a little locking mechanism for the money. We put that portion in there. This should go all the way in, but it doesn't. Checking what's the issue. figure it out in a second. And then the key 97 is at the top right of board number 8. And that goes in the back here where it says key. And now we're checking the application. All right, let's see. Let's see, so this is the operation of the coins. Now our coins are not inserted completely, and we're checking the reason why it's not going all the way in. Something's on the way. Cannot determine what's on the way because I don't see anything sticking out past its points. Checking all the surfaces there. Just to see where it would get stuck. There we go. So there's like that little tab right here that's holding the coin thing. That's what was on the way to insert it completely. So now it goes in smoother. All right, I got some money here. So we're checking the mechanism. So start before. Let's check with the coins first. I'm gonna put the dollars aside. So the coins get inserted right here. I don't know if I can flip it or not, but there's a slot. You put it in. And then you rotate the handle. And then we'll count the coins into here. So the counter is gonna, as you put the coins in, the counter should go into the next digit. Hold on, mine's a little off. So I'm on number 5 right now. Number 6, number 7, and number 8. So now the coins are used. There's a number 8 in here. This is whatever was set at 4 and 1, but the first one's going to be spinning, and then obviously it's going to spin like once you get to the next, so you get to the 10 and so on. So that's for the coins. The next one is for the money, for the bills. So this one you just do the handle about 6 to 8 times. You should see like a little rubber band binding up here. This little guy will be rotating there, and then when you put the bill in, when you lift that little bill, and it didn't work. Let's try again. Maybe not enough winding. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. A little bit too much. I can feel the pressure already, so I put the bill in. As I raise that little dollar bill sign, it should get the coins in. And let's double check, troubleshoot a little bit. Okay, it's wound. There we go. All All right, I guess the handle has to be all the way up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Lock it. Then you insert the bill, lift up that little thing, and it should get the bill in. So let's practice. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Insert the bill. Oh, gone. All right, let's try again. 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Next bill. Line it up. Okay, needs to be straight. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10. Make sure you get it in between the rollers. There you go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10. And the third one in. All right, that works. Next step, you go in the back and remember the code that we set up in the before. So mine, it's already set, so you just rotate these little dials in. They should go only one way, and mine was 4, 3, 1. So I got my 4, I got my 3, and I got my 1. So there's little slots. It's kind of hard to see, but you need to figure out which one is which. So once these 3 are lined up, then we can take the key out, and we can press the little button here, which unlocks it, and then you can rotate it manually to open up the register. It also looks like it resets the counter. Three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Counter's reset. We're gonna take all the money out. As you can see, they're locked underneath this little lever too, which is kind of cool. And put it back in and rotate it the other direction to get it locked. Oh, by the way, in order to pull the, looks like to pull the money out to the coins, you need to open up the register, and then you can pull the coins out. Otherwise they're locked. Once the register is back in, it locks up. All right, what else? That's what we just did to pull it out. And the coins while the register is open. This is just the pictures, nothing on the back. All right, and here it says if it's more than 3 inches, we can, instead of locking mechanism, we can pull it out and put the little gears in there. So it will work a little better, considering this is in millimeters, more than 3, 10. This is not more than 12. So it should work for the US money. I guess more than 3 inches, 75 millimeters. Let's see, this is not going to be 75, or is it? That's actually more than 75. So it, I mean, it worked for me, but if it doesn't, you can remove that little lever that locks, keeps the money, holds the money down, and that should work, right? 75 millimeters. Yeah, this is definitely more. Oh, we're talking the width. Because it's locking mechanism, it's a little shorter than 3 inches, or I mean, you cannot fit bills longer than that, so you can replace it with the gears, and that way. So this one, we're at 70, actually exactly 75 millimeters. So if you need bigger money, which is not going to happen in US, you should be able to remove that lever, and that's instructions on page number 66. So anyway, this completes our assembly for the cash register. As you can see, it was fairly quick, about 3 hours, I'm assuming. And if there are any parts that break during the assembly, you can always contact us for the replacement. Once again, if you purchased it from us, it's going to be free replacement. If you purchased it elsewhere, it's going to be $3.50. We can also contact the manufacturer on your behalf to get the replacement parts. Please visit UGears.us for more models, and most of the time we have everything available in stock. So once again, UGears.us, that's UGears.us. Any questions, concerns, leave a comment or send us email, and we'll see you guys soon. Thank you. Bye.